Imagine you spend your life working to build a house. You save enough money, buy the materials and get to work, and everything is fine. Until a few years later you try to move into the house and you can't. You look at the receipts and realize that technically you don't own the house, and to actually own it, you need to pay 100 times what you paid initially, even though it's you who built the house. That's an oversimplified version of what happened to Taylor Swift and her songs. My name is Mike Ho. I'm an independent artist showing you the real music industry. Let's break down why Taylor's fight is very important and that change is long overdue. Taylor Swift is one of the most famous singers of our time, if not of all time. She has over 82 million monthly listeners on Spotify alone, and she has been a professional musician for almost 20 years. All that to say that her name carries significant weight in the music industry. So how come that someone like her ends up trapped and doesn't have the rights to their own music? The whole story started in 2004, when Taylor Swift was 14 years old and moved to Nashville to chase her dreams of becoming a professional musician. She signed a record deal with Big Machine. What I'm gonna say next is very important, because it happens 99% of the time when an artist signs a record deal. People at the record label, namely Scott Borchetta, gave Taylor a big cash advance in exchange for the master recordings of her first 6 albums. Forever. Wait, what's a master recording? A master recording, or as it's casually called in the industry, masters, is the original version of the song. Whoever owns it controls all the rights to the song. Basically, by signing this deal, Taylor has given the green light to abuse and exploit her music and do anything they want with it. I have signed a few record deals myself, albeit with indie record labels, and trust me when I say that you need to read these contracts more carefully than when you're taking out a loan. The contracts have clauses about almost everything: how many songs you have to release under the label, how long this contract is valid for, terms of exit, in what countries it's valid, how much money the label invests, how much money you get paid, how long for the record label to recoup the investments, who owns the rights, and many, many more. And that's indie record deals. Her contract had way more pages in it. But wasn't she like 14 years old? Good. You're seeing the fucking problem here. The whole scandal began in 2019 when Scooter Braun bought Taylor's former record label, Big Machine, which included all of Taylor Swift's songs from Fearless, Speak Now, Red, 1989, and Reputation. They sorta came as a bundle deal because, again, the record label owned all the rights to those songs. Braun, on the other side, said that this dispute has gotten out of hand after he and his family received death threats. Now, death threats are not something to joke about, regardless of the situation. He got scared and decided to sell his rights to Sherlock Holdings, but Taylor Swift was left out of the conversation. Again, this is the second time my music has been sold without my knowledge. And here's where it gets crazier. Taylor was open to working with Shamrock, but Braun would continue to profit from Taylor's music for years, and obviously it pissed her off. So what do artists do to fight this? Well, the specific actions depend on the contract. You must be very careful in what you do, otherwise you may end up in a courtroom. But then again, contracts are full of loopholes. Are they designed like this? I don't know. Taylor Swift found a workaround. She decided to re-record those albums, which was a boss move because it destroyed the value of the original recordings and gave Taylor control. So if you ever wondered why some songs have Taylor's version in the name, you now know. While she was remaking old songs, she also kept releasing original material like Folklore or Midnights, and Taylor became the first musician to earn over $1 billion from songwriting and performing alone. That was a huge win, but it still wasn't enough. Taylor went even further and launched her famous Eras Tour and made more than $2 billion from it over 2 years. And you know what's crazy? Only because she had made so much money from touring, she was able to buy her rights back. We're not talking a few $1,000,000. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars that went to the pockets of people who never took the pen and paper to write a single line. So why is this fight important? The music industry is controlled by a few major companies, and although it doesn't count as a monopoly, the executives at these companies dictate the rules that apply to the entire industry. Basically, they own the whole industry. It's just divided between a few companies, and there is no actual competition between them. Anytime an artist starts gaining traction, whether it's on TikTok or here on YouTube, they get on the radar of a record label, and their A&R offers a deal to the artist. A&R is like a HR, but in the music industry. Those contracts are usually in the favor of the record label. On the surface, they offer millions of dollars, fame, tours, and love, but in reality, they own the rights to every song. They take about 80% of your income and exploit the living shit out of you until you either collapse or grow big enough to negotiate a better deal. But here's the catch. Even if you grow big enough for a better deal, no one is going to give you your rights back, and Taylor Swift is a prime example. She was denied the opportunity to buy her rights back twice. At the end of the day, she did manage to buy her rights back, but it cost her about $360 million. To put into perspective for the average American, it's like buying a $50,000 SUV in cash. On top of that, record labels love capitalizing on artists' fears. For example, Alison Swift said that he doesn't want to disappear overnight, and to record labels, it's like waving a huge red flag saying, "I'm down to hand over my rights." Don't get me wrong, not every deal you get with a record label is bad. For example, you can grow as an independent artist and only sign a distribution deal. Basically, you let the record label put your music into stores and keep a little bit of money for all the trouble. That's smart. But the actual record deals end up hurting the artist, and we need a real change to make this industry what it's supposed to be, a place for talented people to earn their fair living. Anyway, my name is Mike Hall, and I'm your guide to the music industry. Subscribe for more, stay awesome, and keep making this world a better place.